So you guys saw the title. Today's video, I'm going to be talking about what I've been using for my mental health, and I'm going to be as open and honest, as transparent as possible, which is my brand. I know many people think that my brand is abstinence. That's just not true. There comes a time in long-term recovery that some of us need extra help, and I am not ashamed to say that. I am very proud to say that I did receive the help that I needed from medical professionals as needed. So that's what this video is. And I know it's going to be kind of rambling all over the place because my thoughts are just kind of going a million miles an hour right now. Before I get into it, I also want to add that transparency is not always easy. The things that I get praised for online, I also get heavily criticized for, and that is true for any content creator. There are certain things that I have wanted to keep private because I love them and I don't want the internet to shit all over it. Also, we don't have to agree. We can be friends and have a difference of opinion, and that's totally fine. So, let's kick this thing off. First and foremost, if you've been watching me for a long time now, you know that I have PTSD, depression, anxiety, and insomnia. And a while back, I posted a video in tears talking about how I was unable to sleep. My insomnia has been the biggest struggle in my recovery, I would say, followed very closely by depression. My depression was always my biggest trigger in my active addiction. Man, depression is so frustrating because my brain is just like, you're sad today. And I'm like, but why? And your brain's like, because. And you're like, oh my God, you're right, I'm sad. Like, it makes no sense. It comes out of nowhere. And I try so hard to combat that in every way possible. And I have for a long time, whether that is self-care, just going to sleep, making cupcakes with my kids, whatever it is that makes me feel better that day, I do. Sometimes it literally means I have to go to sleep at 5 p.m. and sleep for 12 hours, and that helps me recharge. But it started to be increasingly more difficult because my insomnia took over, and I would go a week without being able to sleep more than a couple of hours a night. And my insomnia was so excruciating because obviously sleep deprivation leads to so many other things, right? Well, I had finally had enough, and I decided I need to ask for help, which in my opinion is one of the strongest things you could do. Asking for help does not make you weak. Asking for help makes you strong. And I finally had to take my own advice that I preach on the internet every single day and see a doctor about all the things going on. And while for some people, antidepressants and sleeping medication are an invaluable tool, I had always known in my soul that that was not the path I wanted to go down. And throughout the years, I have researched medical marijuana and all of the benefits that it has. I was hesitant for a long time because it has been demonized in our society for years and years. And I think finally we're on the cusp of people realizing that it is a medicine and not a drug. Cannabis use can help everything from seizures to depression to insomnia, PTSD, and so many other things. And I just couldn't deny the science behind that any longer. So after years of really struggling, and that struggle being increasingly more difficult for me, I decided to take that leap, and I decided to use cannabis in recovery. Now, there are so many pathways to recovery. So many. There's medically assisted treatment, abstinence, 12 steps, smart recovery, God, white knuckling it, microdosing, medical marijuana. There are so many pathways, and what works for one person might not work for someone else. All pathways are valid. Interestingly enough, when we treat addiction, we don't just treat the substance use disorder, we end up treating so many other things. Substance use disorder is the surface problem, and underneath that surface, there's a lot of things, and usually mental health is in that, right? So when we treat addiction, we also treat mental health and your social health, your environment. We have to come together and treat all of those things at once. And for a very long time, I did that by myself. Alone in dirty jail cells, I would detox over and over again. Or alone in a dirty hotel room on the run from some charges, I would detox over and over again. Once I was in prison, I did not have access to mental health treatment, and I genuinely believed for a very long time that sober meant abstinent, and that medically assisted treatment was not for everyone for 10 years. You know, I thought that medically assisted treatment should be something that you take in the early stages of withdrawal because I had read an article or I had just had my own preconceived ideas on that, and I was very wrong in that. You know, over the years, I have done tons of research on it. I now have my bachelor's degree, and you just can't ignore the science behind it. So for everyone that is concerned that this is going to be a gateway into relapse, please know that I am so much better than I was 6 months ago when I posted that video on insomnia. Are my symptoms completely gone? No. Cannabis use is not going to get rid of my depression, my PTSD, my anxiety. It's not going to get rid of it. It's going to make my life manageable, and there is absolutely no reason that I should be sober and miserable. That misery leads to relapse. Finding something that works for me was so important. You know, like I said, I didn't want to go to pills because I have a very hard time being responsible with that. So I first went to CBD. And there are over 100 cannabinoids in the marijuana plant. CBD is one of them, THC is another. Those are the main cannabinoids that we hear about all the time, right? I started with CBD, and now I smoke at night and I can sleep through the night. I can go to sleep at night and not wake up 20 times, not lay there for 2 hours, not struggle. What's crazy is about 10 years ago when I was in therapy, I was taught breathing techniques to help me sleep. And that worked temporarily, but it wasn't working anymore, you know? And I have used every single tool in my toolbox when it comes to mental health. My degree, breathing techniques. For anxiety, I go through a checklist of rational and irrational fear, and I just came to a breaking point where I needed to reach out for help, and I needed to take myself out of the situation, take my ego out of it, and say, I can't be abstinent and be miserable anymore because I'm not okay. So again, for anyone worrying about me relapsing, please know I have medical professionals and an amazing support team on my side. And these kinds of things are very difficult for me to share online because I naturally want to protect something that I love and that is working for me. But again, my brand is not stay sober and stay miserable. My brand is transparency. And while that's not always easy, I want to be honest with you guys, and I want to allow you into this journey of my recovery. I am 9 years sober. I firmly believe that I am still sober. So I want to share this journey with you guys, and I want to bring you guys along this journey in my recovery. I did wait quite a long time before I made this video for a lot of different reasons. I know that I'm going to get pushback. I know that people are not going to understand. I know that you guys that are in the ride or die crew are going to be concerned for my well-being, and please know that I am a million times better today than I was 6 months ago. Not only that, but I am being responsible with my use. I smoke every night before I go to sleep. I don't smoke during the day. That's not something that I have had to do so far, and what I'm doing is working. Throughout the day, I will take CBD gummies, and then at night I smoke so that I can go to sleep. And the difference that that has made in my mental health, I have no words for that. I also want you guys to know that I am not trying to encourage you to do that. I'm not trying to push this on anyone. I want you to seek a medical professional if you're going through the things that I'm going through. I can't give medical advice. I can only share with you my life and my journey and what is going on with me in the present. With that being said, I am also going to be on Cannabis Talk 101. It is a podcast with the Pot Brothers at Law. I got a chance to meet Mark when I was out in LA, and I absolutely adore them. And that is just one of the things that I'm going to do now that I am using medical marijuana in my recovery. And I can't wait to share all of that with you guys. And again, this is just the first video in a series of many videos that I'm going to be making to update you guys and let you know where I'm at and how I'm doing. So, as nervous as this video makes me, I know that you guys have my back, and I love you so much for that. I'm gonna end today's video here. I love you guys. Stay safe, stay sober, whatever that looks like to you, because there is no wrong way to recover. And I'll see you guys in my next one.